Born on February 12, 1809, in a log cabin in Kentucky, Abraham Lincoln spent his childhood on frontier farms in Kentucky and Indiana. His mother, Nancy Hanks Lincoln, died in 1818 when he was only 9. His father, Thomas Lincoln, a carpenter and farmer, remarried the following year.
And his father, I'm willing to say, never understood Lincoln, didn't understand his aspirations, didn't understand his incredible ambition.
Lincoln had almost no formal schooling. His scattered weeks of school attendance in Kentucky and Indiana amounted to less than a year. But he taught himself by reading and rereading a small stock of books. The family moved to Illinois in 1830, and the next year Lincoln settled in the village of New Salem. He was a partner in a grocery store and for a time became a surveyor. He was the village postmaster and had a variety of other jobs, including rail splitting. By his late 20s, he had decided to become an attorney. He improved his education and studied law. Lincoln also became interested in politics, and in 1834, he was elected to the Illinois state legislature, where he served 4 successive terms as a Whig. 2 years later, he obtained his license as an attorney. As a lawyer, Lincoln rode the circuit, going from courthouse to courthouse in different counties. In 1842, Lincoln married Mary Todd. Of their 4 sons, only one lived to adulthood. In 1858, Lincoln switched political parties and became a Republican. That year, he lost the election for a seat in the U.S. Senate to Stephen Douglas. But he won a national name for the vigorous debates that he and Douglas held, debates that faced the issue of the spread of slavery into the territories. 2 years later, Lincoln was elected president. Southerners feared that as president, Lincoln would move to end slavery, which their economy depended on. To the South, Lincoln's election was the signal to withdraw from the Union. All compromise plans failed, and soon 7 states had broken away. But Lincoln was convinced that the Union had to be preserved at all costs. On April 12, 1861, Southern gunners fired on a Union fort. The Civil War had begun. Lincoln believed that the war was being fought solely to preserve the Union, and so wanted to avoid alienating the slaveholding border states that had remained in the Union. For that reason, he made no moves at first to end slavery. But in 1863, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, declaring the end of slavery in the South. The North now had 2 goals: restoring the Union and expanding freedom. After 4 years of fighting, the war drew to an end. Lincoln hoped for a peaceful reconstruction, but he never had the opportunity to put his plans into action. Just days after the war ended, Lincoln and his wife attended a performance at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. While watching the play, Lincoln was shot by actor John Wilkes Booth. It was April 14, 1865. The next morning, the president died. News of Lincoln's death shocked the nation. To this day, we remember Lincoln for his fight to save the Union and his work as the defender of freedom.